I'm thrilled to have you join us for this special recorded webinar. So today isn't just another session, we're marking a remarkable journey, the 10th anniversary of Consulting Quest. So over the past decade, we have navigated transformations and challenges and milestones that have reshaped the consulting industries. And in these 10 years, we've seen dramatic shift in how companies engage with consulting services. The value chain in consulting is evolving rapidly. Boutique firms and internal consulting groups are gaining prominence, while emerging technologies like AI and machine learning are fundamentally altering the landscape. Additionally, organizations themselves are transforming. Procurement roles are becoming more versatile and strategic, and companies are now prioritizing total value and total cost of ownership over mere cost considerations. So today we have 5 guests from petitioners to clients and consultants who will share the insights with us. They will help us look back at the transformations of the last decade and discuss what the future holds for the consulting industry. So without further ado, let me give the floor to my guests.
I think first things first, I think before even we look at the ROI calculations, I think it's super important to have the need for a specific project. I think it's super important that, we understand the need, we define the need, we define the scope, we define the stakeholders involved in the project, and also the feasibility. I think it's super important to also figure out, the feasibility study. Every time someone comes up with a consulting project, everyone wants, I think, things in the air. Everyone wants the sky, and most importantly, I think you have to really settle down. If that specific project is the need of the hour, and what kind of value the project is going to get on the table. It could be financial value. It could be say branding, it could be related to customer success, it could be related to like acquisitions of new customer, or just changing the perspective the way you think. See, once you have these basics into the place, of course, then you start with the entire ROI calculation. What do you do in the ROI? Of course, first, once the scoping is ready, I think you need to have, I would not say that, you will have all your 100% of the scopes ready and extremely well defined. It is practically not possible. And so in that specific case, you need to have a basic scope ready, which defines your major roles and responsibilities. You contact a few contact a few suppliers or a few consulting companies to figure out, this is the scope. And what is the budgetary quotation? What is the budgetary value to achieve this specific course? And what is the timeline which is required? To achieve a specific scope. Basis the timeline received, basis the scoping which you have, then you have something on the table. It's also super important to figure out whether what happens if there are delays, because at the end of the day, the consulting companies will charge you by the hour. And so if the timeline gets deferred, how would the consulting companies be compensated? And so these are some things, which you need to put everything into perspective before even you start the specific project. In terms of ROI, as I specifically meant, just focusing on the ROI. Of course, you have an expenditure, and the basis is expenditure. What is the value, which will be added to the table, and what would be the period of time, whether the value which will be added, whether it could be financial benefits. Let's take an example. If you're getting a consulting company for one of the cost saving initiative, to identify the cost saving initiatives, within a specific department, or improve efficiencies of, say, supply chain or operations. I think this is pretty straightforward. Consulting company, you pay X amount. the why should be, the cost savings should definitely be more and spread over what period of time. In terms of increasing efficiency, it could be manpower, it could be, reduction in raw material cost, reduction in production cost, reduction in logistics, supply chain costs. All these things in perspective comes into the picture. It's so when you're looking at a more of a financial angle, the return on investment is comparatively easier to calculate. What is more difficult to calculate is hiring a consulting company to increase the brand awareness in the market, or get more customers, or improve the, what I would say, the deliverables to the customer, which not necessarily will be tangible, which has to be intangible. So all these intangible benefits are, I think you need to somehow convert it into tangible benefits. And it's not the easiest of the tasks to be done. I think you need to take a lot of assumptions into the picture. Say, assume, if I want to improve the brand awareness, how do I do it? Of course, hiring consulting company, the consulting company says do XYZ things. And you do these things, say the sales goes up from say up by 7%. But how do you attribute that 7% increase in sales to the efforts which you've done? Because it could be because of various other initiatives which you have taken. So it's a bit of a tricky situation, but to put things in perspective, you can have some kind of approximations, and without doing the specific exercise right from the start itself, I think you should not be going for, hiring, whether it's a consulting company or whether it's a new initiative, whether it's a new software. These points needs to be taken into consideration. And sometimes what happens, you might not have any cost benefit. But in these cases, even though you want to hire the consulting company, to do the, and you're paying for this, you need to figure out, what other initiatives which you're taking internally to offset this cost delta. So that's something, which you also need to be prepared of. So I know it's a long answer, but this is the actual on-ground situation which needs to be taken into consideration. Why? If I'm not going to get a value out of something, before, for something which I'm going to spending, I should avoid such instances. See, it's a very, as we say, I think no company is here to do charity. So if I'm investing in something or someone or some supplier, the first question which any company needs to ask is, what is the value which I'm getting out of it? Otherwise the investment doesn't make any sense. And it's also important to figure out not how much I'm going to get back, by when will I be getting it back? The timeline is also important. See, now I think the last few years you would have seen the inflation rate globally has gone high. So maybe in your ROI calculation you would have assumed an inflation rate of say 1 or 2%, possibly in Western Europe and the US. But suddenly you see that the inflation has gone up by say 5% or 6%. So your return on investment would be eroded with this 4 or 5% increase in the inflation. These are some things which also needs to be taken into consideration if there is a definite delay in the process. And if a company cannot answer the question why and how much before the start of the project, the company should not even think about moving into a new project. So this needs to be, so you need to be very specific in this specific case in terms of the why and the how. And also people need to be made responsible and accountable on who have actually recommended these options, I mean, to the management. I think there needs to be some kind of accountability. It needs to be a part of the KPI. I don't know, it should be linked to the bonuses. And so people just do not come in with random data, and people actually invest time and energy to study this data, because at the end of the day, you're spending companies' money. First things first, I think any consulting companies, when they come over to meet a customer, see, first of all, of course, if there is a need, the customers will reach out. Or if you have certain links, leads, you reach out, you need, people within the system, you reach out. That's the first basic thing. What I would recommend is no consulting company should come and try selling their processes, or selling their initiatives or billable hours.
Mhm.
What I would really want is for them to understand the issue, understand what the customer wants, and basically demonstrate a value in terms of what is that they can add, how is that they can add an value, I mean, to the larger process. A lot of times, what we've seen is, I mean, you hire a consult, or you get in touch with a consulting company for X work, but they try coming and selling something, a Y work. I mean, and in this specific case, you start losing trust. I mean, because I'm calling the person to solve a specific issue, rather than focusing on the specific issue, they are trying to put across something, which is something is not the need of the hour. And we know that we will not be investing time and energy. So rather than working as suppliers or consulting company, they should try working as partners. And they should be honest enough to say if it is possible or it is not possible. For me, honesty, trust, understanding customers' needs, and most importantly, being flexible in the entire way of moving ahead, working together as a team, so that they can make the ROI calculations, make a business case is something super important. This is for me the best way to get, I mean, to move ahead. I think the one thing which I would like to say is how geopolitics have changed the supply chain. Geopolitics and pandemic have changed the supply chain. So this is the entire hot topic, and with such uncertain situations going ahead in the future, how it's, you can dwell with all the specific data, but there are certain situations which are not in your control. How do you still evolve your internal supply chain is a question which needs to be figured out.
Well, we can say that the change is coming. AI, Gen AI, of course, it's going to revolutionize and already changing the industry. I think that if we talked, I think a few months ago, it was like something that is going to happen, something that we foresee that will happen. Now we can say that it is happening. Okay, we start to feel it in our day-to-day work. I assume that you use Gen AI tools or AI-based tools. So am I. So it's part of our work. For me, as someone that works for a company, for you as a consultant. So this is something that only going to be in a more rapid phase with time. So the change is going to change, like every industry is going to change this industry as well. I think that if I'm looking at it, the major change, at least at this point of time, will be in the way that data is reached. Okay, if let's say a few years ago, it was pretty hard to get right information, or you needed to go to a consultant in order to get, let's say, better or good information about one of the tasks that you have, or one of the thing that you wanted to have information on. Today, it's super simple. It's a self-service for every procurement manager, procurement specialist, or everyone without a unique expertise in that. So I think that the need for consultant in this level is going down a bit and changing. With that being said, okay, by the way, it's also happening in the consultant side, right? Today, you want your consultant to be with all the information, okay, as a starting point. You want him to be someone that it will be knowledgeable, we know in advance the relevant topics that you're going to discuss about. And I think that the shift is more, or the need for consultant is more on the strategic level. The idea to get unique information or unique knowledge from the consultant. So this is the major, at least at the moment. With time, and as the technology will grow, when the scenario will be more specific, or the scenarios that the AI, Gen AI will handle will be more specific. Again, the need for expertise, for specific expertise, will only increase. Yeah, so I believe that eventually, when I think of it more and more, I think that there is no place for amateurs anymore in this field. Okay, and with time it will be more clear. Eventually, many people see themselves as consultant, right? Many people see themselves as experts.
Mm-hmm.
But in the situation where we are at now, and where we are trying to foresee forward and see the rise of the machines as we're seeing it now, I believe that the ones that will gain from it, okay, then the consultant that will continue to be relevant, these ones that will provide the unique knowledge, the one that have the creativity, okay,
Mm-hmm.
will know how to bring the different approach, okay, to the market, to the client, okay, by using their expertise, their out-of-the-box thinking, or other things that relates to that. We know how to build process from start to end. We know to lead the client, okay, in his strategic process, or in the event that the consultant was hired for. And this consultant will not only continue to work in this changing environment, but will gain from it enormously. Also, I think that the ones that will be, work with the technology, will know how to work with the technology in the way that technology will ease their work, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and will enable them to use with their creativity to provide this unique value to the customers. Again, those consultants will be the one that will gain from this shift, and will still be relevant, and even more relevant in this changing world. So there are a few, let's say, aspects to that, okay? People, technology, and knowledge. And I will try to elaborate on that a bit.
Mm-hmm.
First, you need to have the right technology, okay? You need to embrace AI and data-driven tool as part of your daily work, okay? By the way, it's very easy to buy tools, okay? It's harder to convey people to adopt it, okay? By the way, if you're looking at the AI pillars, okay, you can see, the need, okay, you need to have a need, you need to have a vision, of course. You need to understand what are the constraints in such a company, okay, privacy and things like that, okay? But eventually you need to have adoption. In order to reach your vision, you need to have adoption.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the more important things are to convey your team or to convey the company to use this tool and convey them that this will provide them value, okay, along the way. So this is one of the things. One of the things, again, to have the right technology. Second is to have the right people, or to have the right landing pad for people that are willing to embrace the technology. Of course, culture of innovation in companies, okay, that will enable you to continue with that. But I want to add another flavor to that, and that is, of course, create a good database. Eventually, I think that moving forward, if we're looking at the Gen AI and the development of such tool, a good tool is a tool that uses good data, okay, that has a good data. If you have good data, okay, you're able to eventually create good results with that, okay? And if you have a specific data, okay, because, you know, having general data and general information, that's one thing. But again, it's also a uniqueness for the consultants. If you have an ability to reach to a unique data, and you combine it with the general data, and by that you can provide outcome, that's, you know, that's the holy grail, I think, here. So I think that, you know, when referring to that, I think that this is exactly the phase we are in. For Gen AI, for example, okay, there was the initial buzz, okay, wow, Gen AI is going to change everything, and I think it's going, as I said before, it's going to change a lot of things, and it's going to revolutionize a lot of industries. I think that now, after the first buzz, we're in the stage where tools are starting to emerge, right? And eventually, in just few, let's say, months, okay, on the coming years, it needs to be proven, okay, that the buzz was as is. And I think many companies going to be eventually tested according to that. The market going to test companies according to their ability to provide AI tools that really make a difference, okay? Having an AI tool, okay, is not sufficient. Saying that you have an AI tool is not sufficient. Having a working AI tool that provides you value, this is the real thing, okay? And this is the real thing. And companies that will have AI tools in every profession, okay, that will make a difference, that will be easy to use, okay, that people will use because it's easy to use, it provides value, it's aligned with all what you need, eventually provide you with the good results that you wish to have. These are companies that will march forward. Just a good advice to, I think, consultant, and a good advice to procurement professionals in every level. Embrace the technology, okay? See that you're on top of technology. Trying to make it as part of your daily work. Even force yourself to do it, okay? Sometimes you will not see the value in the first day or in the first week, but if it will be part of your daily work, you will be in an advantage point. Again, as a consultant and as a user or procurement professional. Second is, okay, that prepare yourself to buy a personalized tool, okay, for you as a consultant, okay, that again will enable you to bring this unique value. And as a procurement manager or specialist or whatever, again, specific tools that will use the company specific data to provide you with what you need, with the specific value for your work. That's it.
So I think we can mention several key factors, which is starts the first one. First of all, it is procurement buyers. Procurement teams are not sourcing not only locally right now. It is just the sourcing market is expanded globally, and the globalization is one of the first key factors. Secondly is the technology development. which is already mentioned in the sessions as well in the other interviews. The AI technology, the development in the technology area is the second key factor. And growing focus on sustainability and ethical sourcing is one of the another factors, because it is like that corporate responsibility, sustainable sourcing is one of the key factors in the companies, and building and maintaining supplier strong relationship with the suppliers, because they are now in the nowadays, if we talk about the last decade in compared to business partners to us. So therefore, it should be handled in a very careful way. And risk management. I mean, as we all know, the pandemic changed the world, but it's not just the pandemic. It is there are lots of happening each and every day all over the world. Since the globalization is one of the key factors in the sourcing area, such as Red Sea situation nowadays in the logistic area, that all the companies in Europe and all over the world needs to rethink their supply chain activities. Skill and education. If we say in the last 4 to 5 years, I can see incredible amount of attention from procurements and supply chain team professional focusing on their education, certifications on the procurement areas, supply chain areas. There are more faculties, department at the university in the terms of area. And as the last one that I can mention is procurement departments are the shining stars for the organizations, because now the cost pressure in the competitive world, it brings our value to the surface. Let me phrase like that. It's just not like anymore taking 3 offers and release the order. It is just the procurement colleagues all over the world adding value to the supply chain organization. And these are the key factors. Mhm. It is like since I mean, I am also in the procurement area, therefore I am calling we are the strategic function to achieve business goals for the organizations. Therefore, the procurement success is now related with the business success as well. It's not just the one chain in the supply chain, but we are bringing value to the organization. And with the end-to-end sourcing perspective, they are now buyers are now taking extra mile in terms of understanding the need, going deeply. How is the specification? How is the each and every step till the end of the sourcing? So therefore, team success is related with the business. Therefore, this is the one of the key area. Let me say like that. And technology-wise, technology development brings us a very easiness in our daily life, such as the AI business effect on the tail management system, so-called tail management spent in the procurement area. The teams are able to focus on more high volume spend. Therefore, it is focusing on high volume spend brings more capacity on the high volume spend, brings more savings to the company. And we mentioned that ethical and sustainable sourcing. This is also another key factor, because sustainability definition is not just for the corporates, it's also in the daily life of to everyone. And if the higher awareness of the procurement teams brings more, let's say, green sourcing or ethical sourcing on the alignment of the corporate guidelines, legal conditions of the countries, all of them are a success factor for the teams. It is not just a function in the organization, which is also brings a opportunity for the procurement teams to develop their some cross functionals in the corporates. That means they can move to marketing area, they can move to consulting area, supply chain area. In terms of development within the company, also in terms of cross functional, they can move, and they are just feeling better because we are not just the guys to approve the final step on the system. We feel like bringing values to the organization with the total cost of ownership approach, and what we bring on the table has an effect in the financials of the company. So this is also the highlights of the team is more visible from the management side now. Therefore, the feeling better. This is one of the opportunities. And I think they're also one of the major ones. But if we mention the challenges, so it is not just like the final approval. If we go more deep into organization, we are having also we are facing more problems in the organization, such as in the supply chain. So this is one of the things, and we have a more data as usual in all of the areas. Then the analytic approach is harder than the previous years, and this the risk management is also a challenge because globally sourcing, most of the companies doing the sourcing globally across all countries, and that means the problems are globally as well. So if something happens in China, it has an effect in Turkey. Turkey, if in the Middle East, there is a new regulation on, let's say, sustainability, then we need to change our policy as well. So these are the challenges, I would say, and the opportunities is teams can grow easily. The attractiveness of the procurement is higher than the previous years, and the visibility in the procurement area is much more better. And the final thing I would mention that the growth possibility as a personally for the teams, because if you are doing marketing procurement, you are in marketing business, and this is priceless. If 2 years later, if you do services procurement, then you are a business administration expert. That you learn all of the stuff for a company. So consultancy in procurement, I think it should be handled very gently, because in some areas procurement needs to be very careful. It's not just the cost. If we are mentioning the ground basis of the procurement, the first lessons or advice I would like to give my peers or colleagues in the team, you need to focus on total cost of ownership. So it is not just the cost. It is also the after services, the value of the service, what you are buying in terms of goods or services, and what for are you buying, what is the need. If you spend, let's say, some certain amount of the money into the consultings, but what will be the output? What will be the effect? You need to measure it. If you know how to measure it, then it's not. This is the best, one of the best examples for the TCO approach, right? That's the question. You just to find the right one. Which consultant?
So in the last 3-4 years, machine learning and AI is basically a new service that me and my colleague deploy in trying to solve customer problems. So we found out that with the help of machine learning models, we are able to get insights on different aspects of the problems that we couldn't do before. We are able to manipulate and work with huge amount of data and different type of data, from data sets that are coming from controllers and sensors on the shop floor, to video cameras and text on the web, and accumulating all that data into sensible conclusions or ideas open up a new era for us. So we are still doing, I'm still doing different type of projects on the same way I've done years ago. But there is a whole line of services that me and my colleague introduce to customers that are differently executed. The projects are the same, the titles might be the same, but the way we do them is different, and the results, in my opinion, are more qualitative. So there are different line or types of projects. On the supply chain side, I can mention two. One is on procurement, especially high volume commodities that are impacted not just by the way you operate as a company, but also on global trade. Mm-hmm. On inventory management, where we can have more insights and understanding of the way inventory behaves beyond the traditional EOQ or other inventory modeling. On the manufacturing side, I can mention at least three different areas. So one is where a lot of the focus of the industry, manufacturing industry, is on what is called predictive maintenance. I'm more doing operation excellence or OE enhancement activities, utilizing different set of data capabilities. Just to mention one is video cameras. So for example, in the food industry, you would have existing cameras in most of manufacturing or production lines because of safety and regulatory needs. We could use that data to analyze equipment performance, operators' performance, inventory movement, just by using video footprint detection techniques in AI, which in other words, we should have put somebody to just do work sampling. The other big part is in some industry, equipment setup is very complex. It requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of experience and technical skills, and it usually results with a quite significant scrap rate in the setup time. We are able to use sensors and data from controllers to basically subscribe setup activities that can decrease setup time by tenfold and reduce dramatically the scrap, which has a huge impact on flexibility and beside cost, of course, and OE, but flexibility to do setup much more often, which enhance the overall supply chain. So those are just some examples of what we have done in the last 3-4 years in utilizing AI. And we are not programmer, no, we are using data science. We are not putting any code. We just use existing AI applications, which are very strong these days, and applying our knowledge and skills, just using those. You know, future is not a defined time frame, so I might agree on the statement in tens of years from now. But, you know, if I'm looking on Industry 4.0 as a theme that is around for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years already, and I'm trying to read and understand the level of adoption of the technologies around it in industries, and I'm more into manufacturing industries. I'm less into finance, less into commerce, but the adoption rate, in my opinion, is very slow. So I think it will be the same with AI and ML. And you might say this is because they are very conservative, or there is not enough money in the industry like you have in financial services, you know, just comparing salaries and profits and things like that. And that might be true. So I think that in the next few years, 5 to 10 years, I don't see a major drift in what consulting do. When ML, AI will be sort of embedded into Gen AI together, where they can replace us, not just in putting presentation together or research the web, but also in coming up with conclusions or recommendation, that might be the case. But I don't see that happening so soon. And for me, when I'm in front of customers and I'm trying to convince them to invest in an AI ML project that has profound benefits beyond the analysis phase. I'll just give you an example. So I have this video camera that is taking footprints of the production floor every few seconds, and I need that. I can't shut it down. It's there. Okay, so what do I do with it? And I'm offering the client an opportunity to have a real-time analysis, not as a consultant, but as an operational tool for operational management with specific KPI, with specific indicators, alerts, alarms that will give him indication how he can act better today, not tomorrow and in 5 years. Today, yes, there is a budget issue, and I'm talking about multi-billion-dollar food industry company, okay? It's not trivial until they see that it's working and it's somebody else is doing it and it's common practice. The conservatism of the manufacturing industry is so embedded that it will take years. So when you say future, I assume that if the if politics and regulatory won't change, and AI will continue to develop the way it is, and only for the good part of AI, then it probably will change our role. By the way, I see our role only partially as a diagnostics consultant or advisor consultant. Most of my work, if I'm looking at it, is mainly on making things happen, which that won't change. I mean, that won't, AI won't replace us. Somebody still needs to change the culture, change the people behavior, and project manage it. That won't change. The analysis phase probably should be much quicker, much faster, much more automated, and with much more insight than what we can do. But that will take, to me, at least 5 to 10 years, if not more. I think that for me, what changed in the last 10 years was, in essence, the level and capabilities of the clients. So I think clients are much more educated, much more precise in what they would like to see and get. And it elevates, in my opinion, the level of projects, both in the way they are executed. So the governments, in the past we talked a little bit about that, the governments of consulting project is much more robust, much more communicative and much better, but also the outputs. And again, I'm talking about my personal experience, not necessarily the whole industry, but the fact that there has been for years business schools popping, sending graduates to industries, high-level qualified individuals, is changing and change the way they buy and manage consulting work. So in that sense, to me at least, it's a positive trend. I think still there is a lot of personal relationship in buying consulting. People buy from people, as you say, it's still the industry practice, procurement, organization. Even if they try to get in the process, at least in my experience, it's still very technical, very transactional. It's the last thing they want to get into, I think, because it's hard maybe to understand. And it's not repetitive. Okay, it's not an ongoing procurement process. So it's usually relationship based. But that's has been there for years, and I think in essence it will not probably change dramatically. So I think that's the last 10 years. It's mainly the professionalism of buying and executing consulting work has been continuously changing for the good. That's also increased the complexity. So things that I have done 20 years ago in multiples, again and again and again, which was a cash cow, I don't see them anymore. I don't see them. I think the new line of business on ML and AI, at least for my point of view, is an attempt to get there again for a while. But most of the projects are not so repetitive in essence. For the future, you know, they say prophecy is for the fools, but I think that this trend will probably be enhanced by ML and AI and not replace. I see again the level of outputs that I'm able to provide clients with utilizing those technologies is just elevating, continues the elevation process of consulting project benefits, outcome, results, and also elevating the client's capabilities. Because if I'm doing something for them which is intriguing and has benefits, it will elevate, it will increase their desire to have those capabilities in-house, and they can build those in-house, which again will elevate their capabilities to manage the business. So I see the trend changing, continuing, and don't see a profound change. And as we said before, we still be people there. There will still need change management there, and they will still need to implement those projects. And so I only see I don't see a profound change in essence. Consultant always came up with ways to utilize tools, manual or electronic tools, to elevate their business or to create a business. And I think AI and ML is a good example of another trend. I think the industry is much slower in adopting consulting trends or technology trends than consultant in essence. We make living from change. Companies don't.
Thank you all for joining us today and sharing in this insightful journey through the evolution of the consulting industry and how to buy consulting services. So we hope you found our discussion enriching and that it sparked new ideas for your own practices and businesses. So if you enjoyed this webinar, please like and share this video to help spread the love. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates and insight for future webinar. So we also invite you to connect with us on our social media platforms where the conversation continues. It's been a pleasure celebrating Consulting Quest 10th anniversary with you. And who knows, maybe we'll reconvene in another 10 years to see how much further we've all come. So until then, keep innovating and pushing the boundaries of consulting.